Hey all, this is a little off topic for the channel, but after chatting with a few friends around town who do like woodworking or have a small business, I realized I could share a little of the info I've come across in regard to the SBA small loan programs, the CARES Act that just came out last week. A quick introduction, I'm Justin. I own a CNC machine shop in Portland, and I came across a lot of this information through help from other people, and I thought I'd share it because it's really timely, and I'd like to help as many of you as I can, if I can help you. So if you haven't applied for the EIDL, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, it's a mouthful, or the PPP, which another good acronym is the Paycheck Protection Program, you should strongly consider doing that and soon. If you didn't think you could apply before because you don't have employees or you just were unsure, especially in regard to the PPP or the EIDL qualifications, I'd recommend taking a look at them more closely. I'll go through a few thoughts I have, and then we've got a blog post on the best information we found with all the links, so you can find the links to apply there, as well as other expert opinions like the Vox article I thought was really good. So my disclaimer here, I am definitely not a lawyer or an accountant or any expert in this matter at all, so you should just take my thoughts as opinion. I'm just a friendly internet person hoping to help some of the people out to take these programs more seriously and get the money they need to help them out of a tight spot, which we all might likely be in soon. Anyway, these two programs are part of the SBA and were just passed as part of the CARES Act last week. It's been in the news, and I somewhat disregarded them at first myself until talking with a couple friends in town who have businesses as well, and they were like, definitely apply for this right away. And I looked into it, talked to my accountant, and they all thought it was a great idea. So I did it, and without urging, I wouldn't have done it. So I definitely want to urge you to do the same. First, the EIDL, or the Disaster Loan Program, which has this option to take a $10,000 grant that you can apply for, and you don't need to pay back. Like, legitimately, it's just money you can have. You obviously have to qualify, which it seems like most businesses do. And definitely check it for yourself to make sure your business qualifies, but it's a very simple application. I think I did it in less than 10 minutes, and it needs very information from you about your business. I think it's like 2 or 3 pages. It's a web form. It's very easy. You fill in, you check a box that says, I would like a $10,000 grant, and then you fill in your bank account at the end of it, and it's kind of that simple. It's definitely the simplest one to apply for, and it seems like most businesses qualify. So go check that out on our blog post, which is linked below. On to the PPP, or the Paycheck Protection Program. This is a bit more complex, and I'm definitely no expert again. I'm just urging you to look into this for yourself because it's much more flexible to the type of applicants than I and others thought it was at first. I can speak to our situation a bit more clearly. We have employees and we want to support them with the PPP funds for the next couple months as we struggle through COVID-19 just like everybody else does with lost revenue and quarantine and low staff numbers and just everything like that. I'm sure you're kind of feeling the same thing. We applied using some simple gross revenue numbers, your cost of goods, and average payroll amounts from our accounting and payroll software. And they kicked out pretty much the exact things I needed. And a lot of companies are trying to help you out with that. If you use Gusto, which we do, it gave us exactly the right payroll numbers we needed in the form to kind of essentially throw that into the PPP form, and it was super easy. Not as easy as EIDL, but also very easy. If you deal with any of this stuff for your business, you should be able to handle this no problem. Now here's the kicker. I'm told that even a sole practitioner, AKA a solopreneur, like a woodworker, makers, people like myself, people like my shopmate who just has himself in his business, who's never had employees. As long as you have a proper business, supposedly you can apply as well for the Paycheck Protection Program. And that was news to me as of the end of the week. Not something that really falls into my situation, but I know a lot of people in that boat. There's a lot of woodworkers out there that work for themselves, don't have employees, and this can totally help you out as well. I'm told, check for yourself, but 2.5 times your average payroll. It's a little, everything's a little confusing. You take an average payroll amount and then times it by 2.5 for a monthly amount, and that should be, I think, what you get for 2 months. Again, it's a little confusing, but it's fairly easy to calculate when you see the form. So the PPP is live as of April 3rd, 2020. on the 3rd, it was a bit of a Black Friday, really, for bank applications. There's tons of people wanting to apply, and banks were literally just taking interest inquiries. That's what I kept running into. All of the banks I approached were prioritizing their customers, which makes sense, ahead of myself, and I use a credit union for my business, so I had to kind of figure out a different way. And actually a friend in town, the guy that was urging me to kind of look into this in the first place, gave me a tip to look at the SBA's top 100 lenders list, and there's a link to that on our website. And to me, that's a really good place to find reliable lenders. So we went down that list and found a lender that was taking applications that also didn't require us to be a customer, and we could do it online. And I did it in less than 10 minutes and got confirmation. It was super easy. So while the PPP is technically a really low interest rate loan, typically you would need a significant amount of business and financial reports as backup to get this kind of funding from a bank or even the SBA in other situations. The rates would be higher. So the PPP application took me under 10 minutes in our case, and it should be 100% forgivable. So again, free money. As long as we pay the appropriate amount of payroll, don't lay anybody off in the next, I think it's 2 months, and only use 25% of the funds for things like rent and utilities. Pretty simple. There's more nuances to it, but really that's the gist of it. If you're a small business with a few employees, or I think it's under 500 employees. And let me repeat that this is free money. Like if done right, both the EIDL and the PPP should be 100% forgivable. The EIDL is much more clear in that it is a grant. The PPP is something that you have to do a little bit of due diligence once you get the money. But I mean, for me, I want to support my employees. I want to make sure my business is here. This is pretty simple and straightforward to take what's available to me. It's like getting a good financial aid situation in college. You take the opportunities you're given. As of right now, if we don't need all of this money, if somehow something shifts and we don't use it properly, the worst that can happen is this ends up being a really low interest loan, or we just give it back and pay in full the loan we were given for the PPP. The loan term is a max term of 10 years. So I think it's something supposedly starts at 0.5% interest, and over 10 years for a couple months of payroll costs, that's a pretty good deal. Add to that, there's no repayment penalty, or they call that a prepayment penalty. So you don't get penalized for paying back early, and that happens in some other loans. It's not happening here. So in summary, the US government is giving out $350 billion, and mostly in 2 programs that you can most likely apply for, and at least the EIDL, which is very straightforward, it's a grant, and probably also the PPP. In the case of the EIDL, if you get it, the money is a grant, meaning no strings attached, and the PPP should be similar, and that's kind of more iffy, but definitely the EIDL. So I may offer one last piece of advice. You may not think you need this right now, but in the coming months and potentially years are going to be pretty strange. Most of us are probably going to see a loss of revenue as business owners, and the longer we're in this strange quarantine thing, the harder normal business will be. We're creative people, we'll figure out ways, but this is a good thing that we're doing. We're quarantining to save as many lives as possible, which just sounds crazy, who expected this to happen. But, I would say take what you're given right now. You might not need it, but it's also somebody paying your payroll for 2 months. It could be your payroll for yourself as a solopreneur, as a solo employer of yourself. There's a lag right now, and bankruptcies probably will come, and with that, lost jobs and lost revenue. And that gets passed down the line to not ordering the next dining table for your house, or whatever that is, whatever your business is. Photography for weddings will be less lavish, potentially. There's a lot of things. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm no expert on this, but it seems like a no-brainer situation to me. Take what you're given, and don't wait around, because this could go fast. It's expected to go really fast. It's only $350 billion, and there's a lot of small businesses in the United States. So thanks for watching. I know this is a little bit different than normal. You may have come here and not knowing anything about our channel. and are curious what else we do, what do you normally do? Well, I'd recommend you go and try out the vlog series, which we've been filming during coronavirus quarantine times. I've linked that below. It's called Vlog 2020. It's a playlist. It's a little entertaining, and if you're not deep into the CNC world or Fusion or CAM or something like that, this could be a good start for you. So anyway, thanks for watching this. I hope this was somewhat helpful for you.